Greg, we've tried to leave you a voice message or tried to reach you. He will not be here tonight.
Yep, agreed. He's unfortunately dealing with an issue at one of his trade shows.
Yeah.
And Stephanie, did you say Amanda was or was not available? We don't know.
Amanda said she would be, she may be late.
Okay.
She has a parent conference, parent teacher conference.
Right. Hey, Ed, I appreciate you pulling double duty.
The AgCom meeting got canceled.
It did?
Yeah, it was supposed to be on the 10th and town hall was closed or whatever. And so she didn't update the Zoom link. And so we couldn't meet.
It's too bad.
Give folks just a couple minutes to join. Hey, Meredith. Hi, John.
Good evening.
How are you, sir? Hey,
Can
Meredith.
you hear me?
We can hear you, John. Can you hear us?
Hi, John. Can you hear us?
Keep muting yourself. Can you hear us? Whoop, nice. Muting himself again.
Hello.
Hey, John, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello.
We got
Hello?
you, John.
Can you hear us?
I can't get my audio.
Okay, it looks like Dennis is here. I've tried several times to
Okay.
promote him as
Down
panelist.
here, see if there's audio.
Hello. I don't understand. Mute my audio. No.
Unmute.
I know.
Oh.
Now look at it, the icon. Down.
Okay.
Oh, we can't.
Shoot.
He can't read it.
I know it.
Hey, Dennis.
How you doing?
Oh my God.
You're,
I don't understand what's
Shoot. Okay, so did you go down here?
right there. Look.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now you should have sound.
can you hear us?
And then go here. Did you go video?
Hello.
Hello?
Oh, finally. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We were happy to hear that you had the best IT support person in the world.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, John. Okay, it is 7:05. We don't want to wait too much longer. Meredith, we got you. Hopefully you're there. Dennis, thank you. Ed, Jim, myself, that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members, which is more than enough for quorum. So we might as well get started. First of all, let me just note, as a remote meeting, in keeping with an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count toward quorum. The meeting may be broadcast live and be recorded by ECAT. So welcome. I'm just going to do a quick roll call vote. When I say your name, say present or here. That would be great. Jim Lee. Jim Lee. Ed Hands. Ed Hands.
Present.
John Francesco. John Francesco. Meredith Keach. Meredith Keach.
Present.
And Dennis Sheedy. And Dennis Sheedy.
Present.
Tom Broussard is here as well. And somebody has both their speakers and a microphone going in 2 ways, so we're getting a little bit of an echo.
I would bet on John Ventresco.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I would bet on myself too. But let's just check. Hold on.
No, I think
sorry.
we're good now. So
I don't
somebody
think
muted
so.
themselves, which was
No, there's
perfect.
no echo now. Can you still hear us?
You know what, Hans? Stop picking on me this early.
No. I'm trying to help you out.
And we're just taking roll call, so I will say Amanda Varella's name. You can say here.
Present.
Beautiful. Thanks for joining. Let's dive right in. We have everybody that we need for quorum. We do have a motion, or I will take a motion to accept the October 13th, 2022 regular session minutes, assuming everybody had a chance to read them and did not have any questions.
So moved, Lee.
Second, hands.
That's Lee and Hands. Go around the room. Jim Lee,
Aye.
Ed Hands,
Aye.
John Francesco,
I
Dennis Sheedy,
Aye.
Amanda Varela,
Abstain.
Meredith Keach,
Aye.
Broussard is an aye as well. So for tonight, we have a few items on our agenda just to level set. As everybody knows, we've developed a bit of a process where we speak to letters of intent. We then have an opportunity to look at draft applications. And then essentially from the draft application, we invite the full application if we want to move it to the next step. And the full application would be when we actually vote on these items to recommend or not recommend. So there are 5 items: Affordable Housing Trust, the Garden Walls, the Queesit House, Swifts Park, Town Hall Landscape, and the Governor Ames Carriage House. Again, this is just inviting a full application, so not a vote, yay or nay. The Oaks Ames Memorial Hall Technical Review Committee update I'll provide as well. There will be no Pond Street or Island update, so if that is on your agenda, which I think it was removed, it had been on mine. And we will not have executive session. Just so that everybody knows, Greg Strange is not at tonight's meeting. Unfortunately, he is dealing with an emergency at his, he's at a show conference and for his business. And apparently the setup has not gone well. So we wish him well. So with that, on the Affordable Housing Trust, Stephanie, Wayne, I'll lean on you folks as I call up my packet. But just an update on the Affordable Housing Trust. I think it is our standard commitment in terms of monies and fees. Is there anything else that the team would normally want to discuss on what we normally do in terms of our Affordable Housing Trust contribution?
I'm sorry.
Please go for it, John.
Before we start, can you just refresh my memory what our allowance / budget is for all these applications?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just pulling up Wendy's presentation, and essentially that's a probably easy question, John. I'm not sure it's a straightforward answer. What I will say is that our revenues in 2022, not including the latest distribution, were 2.66 million. That's what Wendy presented at one of our previous meeting. The reason why I say it's not necessarily straightforward is there is some financing component, so it's not governed by that. We do have available for appropriation 6.7 million. So that's probably a closer answer to what you were looking for. But again, you can finance and not even into the 6.7 million.
Thank you.
Sure. Bear with me, I'm just calling up my application packet. Any other questions? Ed, go for it.
I don't have a question, but I emailed Stephanie, and I think I illegally CC'd you. Wasn't accidental, it was just illegal. One of the things that we did in the past is when we got a report like the historic preservation plan or the open space and recreation plan, we would set aside some time outside of the season when we're going through and making allotments to discuss that, which sort of helps us set an agenda for the future. And I want to say, I was very impressed reading the housing production plan. I thought that was well done and worth a discussion when we have an opportunity.
Sure, I think that's a fantastic idea. Do you think it should be at the next meeting when we actually vote for this?
No, I think it should be something that we do. You know, we might want to call in a representative or have Wayne do a presentation, and then discuss the implications of what we may be asked to spend over the next 4 or 5 years. So,
Yeah, Tom, if I may add something to that, I don't know that in the past boards have done presentations like that to the Community Preservation Committee. I would guess when we completed the master plan, there was a presentation, but for example, Ed and I worked very closely together. Ed did a lot of work on the 2017 open space update. And I think we did do a presentation to the CPC at that time. But I think what Ed's saying is to look at those plans and think about incorporating aspects of the plan into the CPA plans.
Sure. I think that's a great idea. So I guess what I'd probably ask, Ed, is if you wanted to work with staff and Wayne to figure out the best way to present that and have dialogue around that as a committee and who we want to invite, I'd be happy to entertain and make the time available for that.
okay, will do.
Perfect. All right, so not hearing any questions regarding the Affordable Trust, I think, again, this is probably one of the more straightforward given our commitment that we have to satisfy. I will say, I think that to Ed's point, there could certainly be some more dialogue on how the Affordable Housing Trust sees the upcoming years and how we may be supportive and incorporate that vision that they may be developing into how we want to consider planning. And so I have reached out, begun those dialogues just to keep in touch. And, you know, I look forward to more development than just our quote unquote standard responsibility that we have to satisfy. I think affordable housing is an important component of the fabric of Easton, and to the extent that we can help support that dialogue at the least and maybe fund at the most, it would be important to continue those discussions. All right. So I will check the box.
Wayne has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Wayne.
Hi, sorry. Thank you for that. A couple of quick things. I do want to mention that we've got Affordable Housing Trust board members, Nikki Dastumian and Jennifer Stacy, with us this evening if people had questions, but it seems it's not necessary. And of course, Chrisanne Sheedy as well. So I want to recognize that. And this could be a good opportunity and a very easy segue. I'm going to be sending out an email hopefully tomorrow. The trust, as you know, is a major sponsor for the affordable group home for 8 individuals with acquired brain injuries at 300 Foundry Street. And that project is complete. And BAMC is having a modest open house on the 1st of December. So that is going to be Thursday, when is that? Yes, Thursday, December 1st at 2:30 p.m. at 300 Foundry Street. So if CPC members are available Thursday, December 1st at 2:30 and would like to stop by 300 Foundry Street for that open house and to see the great work that this town has done to support residents in need, do please stop by, and I'll be following up with an email to folks.
That's awesome, Wayne. Thank you. And you know what? I am remiss. I always get confused when I see Nikki and it's NLM and not the full name spelled out. So if it's possible, can we open up the mic so that Nikki, who may have thoughts, comments, or contributions, and Wayne, thank you so much for pointing that out. And I really appreciate people attending these calls. In that way, again, it just gives a good forum for us to learn more as we go through the process. Hey, Nikki, good to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Well,
Thanks for your time.
The last time we chatted, I think you were mobile, trying to find like some way to hold aluminum foil and rabbit ears to get good reception.
I was on the beach.
That's right.
Yes.
So Nikki, I think Wayne did a great job, but can you help, I guess, bring to life a little bit what great work you folks are doing? And if you have any thoughts to how the CPC may be considerate of what you folks have planned in the future, we're happy to hear the dialogue and understand how we might play a role.
Well, I always appreciate the fact that you're interested in wanting to hear more and learn more. We just finished up we just finalized our 5-year action plan, which I'd love to share with you guys soon. And as far as this application goes, as you know, the trust is greatly constricted on what we can do based on the land availability and pricing. And so we do rely on this so that we will be able to seize any of the opportunities that come along in a timely way. Without this, we would likely miss out on a lot of great opportunities and some of our only opportunities. So just as always, want to thank you guys for your consideration and hope that we can move forward and submit a full application next.
Absolutely. No doubt. Any questions for Nikki, team, while we have her? And thank you, Nikki, for taking the time to be with us tonight.
Of course. Thank you guys for your time.
None. Well, I think we get it, Nikki. I do. I think I speak for all of us. We would love to learn how we can play a more meaningful role as you look to, again, affordable housing is a critical component that I think creates diversity in the town of Easton, and it helps people participate in our great community. So we're happy to learn more if you want to take the time to educate us with your 5-year action plan. And Stephanie, could you just make a note on a future agenda? Probably, I think we have a couple of big ones coming up, Nikki, but then maybe even towards town meeting or just after town meeting, if that's okay for you and we don't miss any opportunities, we would love to be able to have you come in and dedicate the time and focus to what you folks are doing over there for good work.
Yeah, that would be great. We would welcome that.
Awesome. Cool. I don't think we have to take an official vote, but I'm assuming for our committee, we are all supportive of the application being finalized, and that we would look forward to reviewing that final application and voting at that time.
Thank you.
Awesome.
thank you for coming.
So next up, I have to move because the lights apparently go off in my office if I haven't moved enough. Perfect. Nikki, thank you guys so much. Thank you to the Affordable Housing Committee. Next up, we have the Ames Free Library Queesit Garden Walls. And do we have anybody, Wayne, joining us from the Queesit?
We have Ian.
Ian, how are you, sir?
So he should show up in just a minute.
And then I think Tim Hurley is available for any other questions folks might have about some of the other aspects of it.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Ian, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
Very good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day and life to join us at 7 o'clock at night. I know we are riveting entertainment, so I'm not selling us short, but still appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I enjoy the ribs.
And so I guess one of the things that I should probably be asking is Wayne, Stephanie, Ian, is there anything, Tim, good to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anything that's changed from the last time we recommended that you go forward with the draft application to today? Are there any developments that you want to make the committee aware of that even adds more color to the application? Anything we want to consider before we make a decision to bring you to a full application status, and at which point we would vote to recommend or not?
Yes, there has been some design changes and scope change. We former library board member Jay Thomas got on board of the project and kind of clarified it more and included what would be necessary, like accessibility paths, which would increase change design a little bit to get things to there, as well as what the stage would actually be. So it would no longer be a stage, but just what a trussed ground in front of it to look down towards the performer. And we've also discovered, having architects and masons out there, that the structure in question that we're looking to restore to historical accuracy is going to need more work than was originally intended, just to get it up to speed and make it stable.
Okay, good to know. Does that additional work, the amount requested I see in the application is $268,000, does that still hold?
Unfortunately, no. I just got an updated estimate from the mason, I believe on Monday, which would be higher than even the one I submitted there, after they got updated plans and more eyes on site. And it will increase it, unfortunately, substantially to about 410.
Okay, that's good to know. And just making sure that's the amount requested, so that's the CPA ask.
Yes, so far. The masonry estimate went up to 204,000, which would make the CPA portion up to 410,648.
Got it. Would the non-CPA funds and source change, or is that constant at roughly 460?
That has not been adjusted yet. I've actually been trying to finagle things to make it go downwards a little bit.
Sure.
But yes, that hasn't been adjusted.
Okay. Committee, any questions for Ian or Stephanie or Wayne? Please go for it, John.
Yes, Ian. So you answered my first question from Tom in regards to the portion, the other 2/3. So you don't have that yet, as you just stated, correct?
We don't have the funds yet?
Yeah, well, we're upping this up to 410, is that what you said, the CPA request? So what is going to be the amount that's going to be upped on the other 2/3, which is coming from your investment and then through fundraising, is that correct?
Yes, investments in fundraising, capital expense. Like I said, it won't, that portion hasn't gone up. We're viewing that more as improvements to the garden and landscape itself, to make it more appealing and attractive to the public who's already using it. What we're requesting from the CPC is the funds to specifically go into the stonework for the historical preservation core of it, with library capital expenses and community donations going into the community garden itself.
So I'm assuming you went through the procedure of getting what, 2 or 3 different pricing?
Yes, we've gone through, spoken to a couple of masons, and we've gone through a couple of architects, but yes, unfortunately, a lot of people did not return my calls, but we've had consulted, I believe, 2 or 3 masons, Tim?
Yeah, 2 at least.
Yeah.
So do you have to use an historical type mason that's got history with something like this, or just, I hate to say any mason, but can you use any mason that's qualified in brickwork?
Well, it's not brickwork, John, to start with. It's stone.
Stone, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
And I would say it's not a place to be learning. You know, it's the finish, the selection of stone is going to be important. There's additional stone needs to be brought in, and also the masonry as it's tooled in the end, it needs to match the rest of the surroundings. So there needs to be some talent there as well.
Oh, I'm not saying we need to get someone that's less. It just, I'm not sure, as I said, you get a historical person that's used to dealing with the stonework or brickwork, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, like I said, it's not going to be a learning thing. It's gonna have to be someone, that's proven experience there.
Yeah, with that. So this was 100,000 plus jump?
Plus,
150,000.
Wow.
270, so call it 140, John, 270 to 410.
Okay.
I hope that it's understandable, honestly, Ian, I know first off that the first passes are often, again, just that, first passes. And in today's day and age, regrettably, second passes rarely go down, where we found cost savings and material is at a lower cost than we thought. I think, to the extent possible, Ian, I appreciate your comment that you'll continue to shake the trees on your side of the fence. And that's thoughtful. But, I think the majority of us, all of us, I think I could probably safely speak for, have appreciated the great work that you and the library and the folks at the Queesit House have been doing. What a great area that this has become for the town in the back. So the cause is noble and worthy. And so we appreciate that. It would be helpful if you can continue to shake those trees just in case we get to the end zone and we find that we want to do all the projects but might not be able to support them to the fullest extent we all like. We have a pretty large slate of requests this year, which is fantastic. And they're all good and worthy. So, but it's appreciated whatever you can do on your end. And I think on our side, we appreciate the cost escalations that can happen.
and just to add, we've had many proponents over the years that would stick to that initial thing and then come back the following year saying, oh, we need another $150,000. So I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, good point, Ed. It helps us. Yeah, it helps us balance our financial forecasting. So it is appreciated. Any more questions for Tim or Ian, team? Sure, Amanda.
Jay Thomas's letter confused me with reference to a full service kitchen and accessibility to the bathrooms. That's all beyond the scope of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that letter was basically the first coalesced design document that our committee itself was working from. So I wanted to throw that in there for perspective. That specifically has been gutted out. It's not going to be in there. We don't want basically we don't want plumbing out there for that everything else that entails. But it was still framing our thought of what is possible out there and what uses could be. And with our community partners, we're kind of eager for those things as well. So to get them more gung-ho, we threw it out there and debated and decided against it. But yes, the letter was just an initial design document and then we went from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Team, hearing no further questions, seeing no hands raised. Again, Tim, Ian, it's a Thursday night at 7:30. Greatly appreciate your time and your attention to detail. Unless anybody has any issue, I would recommend that we accept and go to a full application status, at which point we will vote to recommend or not recommend. Anybody have any issue with that, team? Great. Ian, Tim, I know that there's a multi-step process and it's a little new, but candidly, it gives the residents of the town opportunities to engage, and it enables us as a committee to continue to poke and prod all of the projects. And hopefully it enables the best ones to pop to the top, and we're more informed and we're allocating our precious dollars in the best way possible. So it's appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for being here tonight, Tim.
Yep, you got it, Ed.
All right. Next up, I think we have the Swifts Park design. We may have some people that have something to say about this and a
Yes.
little bit of knowledge.
Tom, I'd like to make a suggestion.
Sure.
Because everyone who is here for that project is actually part of the normal board meeting.
Sure.
And so in the interest of other people's time, maybe we move up the town hall landscape and then the Governor Ames and do Swift's Park last. I think if I
saying
thought
that
about it.
Ed and John may wax poetic for a length of time on Swiss Park, Stephanie?
No, I'm just saying that if I thought about it a little harder when we were putting the agenda together, I would have put Swift's Park last.
Fair, fair. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much. Why don't we jump to the town hall landscape? I think I saw Greg Swan's name
Yep.
at some point.
Yeah, and he should be joining us momentarily.
Here he is.
Everybody,
Hey, Greg, how you doing, sir?
Greg,
I'm good. How's everybody doing tonight?
Excellent.
Great.
Really good, thanks. Greg, again, same applies. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us tonight. It just enables us hopefully to have a much better process overall. Has there been any changes, Greg, Stephanie, Wayne, regarding the application for the town hall landscape?
No, I spoke with a consultant who I don't want to say consulted with, but the consultant I've been working with on this just to get some idea of cost and scope. I spoke with her last week. I ran down the numbers I put in the application. She says they still sound good. When you're dealing with a project like this that's historic of nature, everybody's going to have an opinion on it. And we want to make sure that we have enough meetings to be able to have everybody come together and put their ideas down and then try to figure it out what this needs to look like. So that's why the number is what it is. I think it's a bargain because once we have a picture of what the site needs to look like, DPW has a lot of talented individuals there and we can do a lot of the work in-house. And that is the number one driving cost right now is labor, because we can do the work. We'll figure it out and we'll go from there. But we don't have an idea, or what we would make it look like would be not what, we need somebody who has experience dealing with historical properties to give us an overall idea of this. And that's what I have to say about that. And as this is coming from a process of dealing with the town hall, the window exterior project, and getting into that and dealing with Wayne on a weekly basis and looking at these pictures, we have a real opportunity here to have something nice, have a site that people can go to, with the restoration of the wellhead, the potential for gardens. We had a couple come in the other day to get married, and they just got married in the clerk's office. And nothing against the clerk's office, but if you're gonna get married, let's have a place, they could go outside and have pictures. Something, if you want to go for a walk, you could come and take a walk. There's a lot of components that we can factor into this. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I think we have an opportunity here and I didn't miss it.
I'm all for it. I understand that, Greg. And remember, you can tell those people that the Governor Ames Estate is close and the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall and Queeset Gardens is close too, but given another beautiful spot, I hear your point.
It's hard because, Tom, it's hard because Danielle would have to perform the ceremony and she can't really be that far away from town hall. It's not like she can go, her time is, she's one of the most dedicated, active individuals, especially during voting season. So 2 times a year and the lead up to it. So she's constantly on the go. She's very, very busy. She doesn't have a problem doing it, but then to ask her to walk away and go somewhere else, it's not really considered to, her time to do that kind of thing.
Of course. And I appreciate the example. And I think the enjoyment that the town and the residents would get out of it fundamentally would be important as well. And what a way to continue the great work you folks are doing at town hall. Just for edification of the team and the audience, the ask is $60,000. To Greg's point, that's been consistent. So it's good that we have confirmation. Stephanie, Wayne, any comments, additional comments to the application?
No, I just want to reiterate what Greg has said about the town offices. I mean, you look at the landscape, it's really needed some improvements for a long time. And I think the example of people who come for weddings, prior to the work that began, the grounds are now still a little bit disrupted. People did go outside and have their weddings performed there. So to make it even more attractive and inviting, especially when usually these people are coming because they want a quick ceremony, and making it nice for them. I think it really is an asset to the town. And it shows off all the wonderful exterior work that was just completed.
Two things I would add is something that we've mentioned in previous projects to do with Town Hall, but along with the library, it is one of the most visited historic sites in Easton. Everyone from all walks of life come to Town Hall, not just folks who are interested in history or historic houses. So it gets a lot of use from the people of the town and from beyond for all the meetings and for the permit applications. And then the second thing is we are shaking the trees. We've submitted a letter of intent for an additional grant from Mass Historical for a survey and planning grant. They do offer planning grants. We believe we're competitive, but we will not know if the commission has invited us to apply until after they meet December 9th. So that, of course, is contingent on the pool of applicants, whether or not we would get invited to apply, but we have put that application in.
Understood. Team, any questions for Greg, Wayne, Stephanie? Tim, I'm sorry, did you want to make some comments too?
Yes, please, Greg. Please make sure everything gets run through Historic Commission.
They're going to have a seat at the table for all the
Okay.
meetings that we have to have. One of the components is to have whoever, if we're lucky enough to get this funded, is to have the landscape architect do the historical research, including visiting the Historical Commission, going through Town Hall and looking at all the pictures on the walls, trying to get a sense of what the grounds look like back when they were designed in 1917, 1920, and kind of incorporate that, and then bring the Historical Commission in, and as long as the other stakeholders in town have a seat at the table and just throw out ideas, and we just throw everything against the wall and we see what kind of pictures develop.
Great, thank you.
I would also recommend visiting the Historical Society, which does have a fair amount of information on the landscaping there, including some planting plans.
Absolutely. Whatever we can get our hands on for information to see what it used to look like, and then restore the grounds as close as we can. It's not going to be exact one-for-one replica, but we're going to make it, like to make it, we'll improve it from what it is right now. And it's pretty torn up with all the active construction going on.
And as a sort of a technical term, which has real actual technical and legal meaning, what we're aiming for is the rehabilitation of the wayside estate grounds, and that's a Secretary of Interior standard. It's not restoration, it's rehabilitation, because so little of the original plantings remain, but you still have the sense and the shape of the property. So the standard we're aiming for is a rehabilitation of the estate grounds, which will preserve the features that convey the estate's historical and cultural and architectural character and values. So that is sort of the central guiding principle behind the effort.
Does that hold you to a, I hesitate to use the word lesser standard, but a less restrictive standard of what you have to do than if you were doing a full restoration?
It does not. It's a very high standard to meet, and it recognizes that structures, historic sites, historic landscapes especially, change and evolve over time. The climate is changing, the socioeconomic situation of the town has changed, and we no longer have the very inexpensive labor that would be necessary to maintain more elaborate plantings. A lot of, or many of the original plantings are highly invasive and ecologically unsound. We do not need more cork trees. So it's, how can you be true to the historic character of the site and interpret it for the public and still keep it current to meet the needs of the current climate and understanding of ecological values. So it's coming at it from that frame.
Good questions. Team, any other questions for Greg, Tim, Wayne, Stephanie? Okay, any reservations on recommending that this go to a full application that we would potentially vote on and recommend? not potentially, but would vote on and either recommend or not recommend? All right, hearing none. Greg, again, team, thank you so much for your time. We will move this to a full application status. The next time we meet and discuss the topic, we'll actually be making a vote to either recommend or not. So again, you've taken time to educate us on the project, and it helps us be more informed during that process.
Thank you.
Cool. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. If I don't see most of you, it'll have a happy Thanksgiving.
You
Yeah,
too,
you
Greg.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, we have the Governor Ames Carriage House. I believe I've seen Peter Murata's name in the attendee list. So if we could enable Peter.
And if Peter could just let us know if there's anyone else. I think, is it Bob Murray?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Also
you're right.
there, so I'll promote him as well.
Hi, Peter.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Awesome. And Bob's coming online now. Great. So by way of refreshing everybody's understanding of the project, essentially the amount requested for the Governor Oliver Ames Estate visitor amenities and site improvements is $276,000. As a reminder, the total project cost is projected to be at the time of the application, $835,000. Therefore, the non-CPA funds and additional sourcing of funding would be about $559,000. So Peter, Bob, Wayne, Stephanie, has there been any change in any of the fact pattern of the request or the project or the timing? Just want to give you a form to update us first before we start to ask any questions.
No, I think we're on track to follow the plans that have been laid out. We have been before the Historic Commission for a certificate of appropriateness and support of our CPA application. And that included a site visit of the committee.
Excellent. Ed, do you have any insight on that from the Historical Commission perspective? John?
John's the Historical Commission person.
Ah, sorry, Ed, I thought you were there too, still.
Peter and Bob actually were very gracious and with their time, and the Historical Commission met with him to do a site evaluation to match what we saw in the plan. It's a phenomenal building. I mean, to see the stalls, everything inside is so solid. I mean, you can see the vision that you guys have. The two questions / concerns that I had, Bob addressed it, and please confirm that CPA funding will not be funding the tent itself, but the foundation and the groundwork. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The second thing, and I know it was questionable when we did the site evaluation, was the door. I know you want to replace that door to the right of the main one. And it made sense as far as why you have to take it off the rollers and put a swing on it. Totally agree with that. I really like to see that door maintained.
Yeah, it's our intention to try to use that original fabric and be a hinge door as opposed to a pocket door right now, which would not meet ADA compliance. So we would try to use that original fabric to use that same door modified on hinges for the project.
Great.
Awesome.
That was only my concern.
Awesome. Team, any questions for Bob? Hearing none, I think that just evidence you folks have done a great job, Bob, Peter, in terms of the application, the process. I will say I greatly appreciate you reaching out to the Historical Commission. I think that's a critical step, and it helps us appreciate that our, I guess, sister organizations in town, like the Historical Commission, support this as well, and that they've had an opportunity to look at it from their perspective. From us hearing no additional questions, I think that I speak for all of us, and somebody please correct me if I do not, that we would appreciate your application going to the next step as a full application, at which point the next time we meet, we will be voting on it. I'll say the same to you that I've said to others. I appreciate you joining us for these calls. I know it may not seem, as always, the best use of time, quote unquote, but it really does help us as a committee understand the ask. I think it gives the residents of the town the opportunity to engage multiple times. And I think we can only be better for continuing to poke and prod at the applications, so to speak. So thank you all for spending some time with us on Thursday, and we look forward to the next step of an official application and vote.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time here tonight as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your efforts.
Yep.
Okay, just a note, John, you asked the question. I do have an ask out to Stephanie and Wendy to help us understand what the impact to our financial picture in future would be if we accepted all of the projects that are on our slate this year. So we'll have that hopefully for our next meeting, I think would be a fair ask, Stephanie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But yes.
So that way, John, we can be prepared to have some context from a financial perspective. Again, all of the projects are worthy and they are going to have great benefit for the community. And we just have the responsibility to understand how much the spend will impact us. Right. So just so that you know, that's being developed and we'll have that for the committee's consumption at our next meeting.
And Tom, oftentimes in the past, when the committee has been faced with a lot of applications in a given year, that reporting has been provided during that phase of consideration.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Now we get saving the best for last, moving it to its proper space, Swift Park, with the world famous Ed Hands and an equally world famous John Ventresco. Hopefully you folks can walk us through.
I think Meredith's on the committee too, isn't she?
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we have to recuse ourselves.
We're packing the CPC right now.
Well, actually, Ed, you are representing the committee. And remember, we talked about this, and John would be the, if I have it right, the CPC rep on this project.
Okay, however you want to do it.
I mean, he would sit as a member of the CPC in evaluating the project and not, and you are recusing yourself from the actual vote aspect.
And you're right, both of you, gentlemen, the equally world famous Meredith Keach is here to keep you both honest. So appreciate that as well. Sorry, Meredith, for omitting you in the original intro.
With her mom, Eileen.
With her mom on the committee as well.
So I guess any updates or items you want to talk about to the team, the committee for the Swift Park that might have happened since our last conversation?
No, I want to thank Stephanie for all the hard work she's put in developing the RFP and a lot of the materials that we have put out to solicit bids so far. There are no changes to talk about tonight.
I can talk a little bit about the RFP. It was published towards the middle to end of October. We had an on-site with prospective proposers on the 10th. We had a good turnout. We had about 8 people there representing 5 different firms. Subsequent to the on-site, we received questions, which we published answers to today. Today was the deadline for asking questions and then sharing those with the prospective proposers. The proposals are due on the 30th of the month. And we do indicate, I think we added a little, quite a bit more beat to the application from the initial letter of intent or letter of interest. And we're expecting that on the 30th, we will be able to revise our cost estimate, our cost proposal.
Meredith, John, any additional comments?
No, we're just very excited. We've been, we've got a great team that's been compiling ideas and putting this concept together. And there's nothing like this that's been done in this end of town, so it's well deserved. And we just can't wait to get the pricing and the survey work and the design work so we can actually see the fruits of all these ideas in the last year. It's going to be a long project. It's about 2 more years. You thinking, Stephanie, Ed?
Yeah.
It's done.
Yep.
We're trying to get this to go off with our town anniversary. And
We also intend to do some private fundraising as well, although that's potentially more fraught than it used to be because the Tricentennial Commission is going to be doing some fundraising as well. A lot of
Is the ask, I know it's asterisk, but I just want to understand the CPA application currently has an amount requested of 25 grand. Non-CPA funds and sources are 10 and the total project cost is 60. So could you just clarify the asterisk, Stephanie, for me again?
Yes, and I was looking at that because I saw the asterisks and then in just now and didn't see the explanation. So you'll recall that the Swifts Park Committee representatives, Ed and I asked the CPC if they would consider funding $25,000 of this original, this initial phase of the project with administrative funds. So that's 25,000 there. And then 10,000 is coming out of the planning department consulting budget. We have an allotment every year for consulting. And I felt this would be a very good use of that money to help kickstart the design.
Yeah,
one of the things the committee made clear was that without having a design concept that they could go pitch, it would be a little difficult to solicit donations for the project.
Sure. Thank you again for reminding us of that and the connection and why the different numbers don't necessarily foot perfectly on this. John, Ed, Meredith, I'd ask you a favor. I'm remiss just in terms of timing. I did not get a chance to connect with you after the last special town meeting. And I bring this up because I think it's important for anybody that might come across this. And certainly I believe it's important for you all to hear what I'm about to say. At the last town meeting, there was a discussion about funding, and there was a reference to the fact that, quote unquote, we can even fund a park that will never get used on a busy street. And the reason why I bring it up is because I think it's very important that the residents of our community appreciate that very large movement in towns take a long time, and they take an incredible amount of planning, and they take the integration of many small steps to actually equal a very long journey. And what you folks are doing along that corridor and the important role that this park will play and the ability to walk at some point in our town's future, all the way from Target, all the way to the center of town on walkways that are safe, that enable people to have walkability and engagement in communities in entirely different ways, takes vision, dedication, and effort. And so I just give you all credit as a committee and thank you for your efforts. I know that you all appreciate the contributions you're making. And to your point, I think, John, that you made earlier, if I remember it was you correctly, it does take a lot of work. And you folks have made sure it's happened. We're happy to support you. I think I speak for all of us collectively. And while we see a small piece of it with this application, it's really a much larger part of what is being created in that particular corridor by the town, whether it's sewer, whether it's repaving, whether it's zoning adjustments, the creation of density and walkability and the amenities and the green space and the park. It's hard to paint that mosaic for most residents to have in a way that they can grasp it. But just wanted to make sure you folks took back to your committee my sincere appreciation for your efforts and the importance of this particular piece of the puzzle that I think is going to transform that area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
With that, unless anybody has additional questions, thoughts, issues, or concerns, I think I speak for all of us in recommending that this goes to a full application, and the next time we discuss it, we would be voting on it. Awesome. Amanda, you unmuted yourself. You good?
I'm anticipating a motion to adjourn.
Ah, I love it. Well, we're close. I won't belabor the point, but I do want to give you all an update on the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall Technical Review Committee. So a couple things. One, speaking simply, I would encourage you all to buckle up, get restful, because the next meeting is going to really start an incredible dive in of detail about the hall, the project, considerations that we as a committee may be placing on the project. The rough costs that we've been discussing have not gone down. They still hold. It's a roughly $8 to $10 million project. So I would expect that our level of scrutiny and engagement would reflect that we would probably be asking questions or engaging in a more meaningful way than we may have on smaller projects. They're all important, but I think you all appreciate what I'm saying. I do want to tell you that I give a lot of credit to that technical review committee. I give a lot of credit to the applicant. The level of discussions have been impressive on all fronts. They have done a great job at challenging themselves, and the committee has done a great job at challenging the overall project, so that I think what you will begin to hear at our next meeting, which again is the first draft review. So they're not even at the stage where we're at today, which is inviting them for a full application. So they still have 2 steps to go. But what you will have at the next meeting is Lynn Spencer, who will be presenting schematics and details about the project, the outside grounds, the examples of the materials that will be used, and it'll really be a meeting to bring you up to speed. I would expect it to be an hour-and-a-half long meeting. That's what I'm trying to budget for. And there will also be other thoughts and considerations around the hall, around the project that we will begin to surface at that meeting as well. I do want to just give you a heads up. The part of the technical review committee has been working as good neighbors, and they've been working with the library. So they've brought the library leadership team, begun to bring them into the fold to expose them to some of the dynamics. There are some plan elements that candidly, it's appropriate that the library engage and opine on. So it made sense. I believe that the hall and the TRC, some of the members will be presenting to the library's board of trustees. I think it's just before our meeting. So
Yeah, December 14th.
Right, so it's December 14th. Ours is the 15th, if I remember correctly. No, is it the 15th? Ours is the 8th.
8th, yeah.
8th.
Yeah, so ours actually comes first.
So ours comes first, but just wanted you all to know that the goal is to keep all of the interested parties and stakeholders somewhat moving in parallel, so that it isn't talk to the CPC, then try to invest the appropriate amount of time to bring the other constituencies up to speed. There's just too much information. So next meeting will most likely only be about the hall. It'll be an hour-and-a-half. It will be at the middle school again. I'm sorry, it will be at Frothingham. Sorry, Wayne, thank you for checking me. It will be at Frothingham. I am going to get the agenda out soon. Wayne, thank you for sending me the draft. The reason why I want to get it out is I do want to make this public in as many ways as we can, so that we can invite resident engagement. I think a project of this size, it's important every step we can to keep the town folks engaged and involved. So once the agenda goes out, if I could ask you all to reach out to your networks and your groups of friends and let them know about this very important project. What I do not want to, what I hope will not happen is we get to a town meeting and people are just learning about it. They don't know about it, and they don't appreciate the number of meetings that we've had, the length of time that this project has actually been underway, and the level of discussions and discourse that's happened. So that's the thought. So this next meeting, December 8th, will be at the Frothingham Hall. The subsequent meeting in January would also be public. Yes, Amanda?
Do we have a list of meetings? Because I can already tell you I can't attend on the 8th.
So
We do on the, we
I think
shared the
it's
timeline
second-
for 4th?
Thursday,
Yeah.
right? It's the second
sorry, I
Thursday
couldn't
of
hear.
every month.
So the next meetings we have are going to be December 8th, Thursday, December 8th at 7, followed by Thursday, January 12th. And that is for the review of all of the final applications at that January meeting. And that can also include a vote, or there's also a meeting on Thursday, February 9. If we need to kick things back a bit, we could accommodate votes on that date as well. And then the absolute last possible meeting date, I think, to really have a vote that's useful would be Thursday, March 9. So those are the upcoming meetings. We've got Thursday, December 8, Thursday, January 12, Thursday, February 9, and Thursday, March 9.
Thank you.
You bet.
And just a note, I appreciate, Wayne, your commentary and largely correct. I do want to reserve the right to potentially take the February meeting and also make it only about the hall, because, for example, the TRC has now had probably 6 or so meetings, Stephanie, about an hour apiece. So
Yeah.
we've had 6 hours of dialogue. I think it can easily be distilled down into 3, but I really want to give this committee and team the first meeting to simply be exposed, to absorb and to digest, and then therefore to formulate a really good level of engagement for a second meeting that could very well also take another hour and a half. The project size, the project scope, the breadth, the level of engagement that I would expect us to have in terms of discourse about the ability for the hall to execute this project successfully, for example, I would expect that to be part of this. I think you all know me by now. I'm somewhat financially oriented, but a $10 million project, to me, we have a requirement to demonstrate material value to the residents of our community. And I think we have to make sure the applicant demonstrates that to us, and we feel confident, therefore, in making our vote to support or not support that project. And I just think it might take a little bit longer than 1 hour and a half meeting. So I want you to know my goal is to not rush you in any way, shape, or form. To Wayne's point, we have the December meeting to begin the discussions, the January meetings to follow up, and if we had to, we could leverage the February meetings. I can't think of a larger project, certainly in terms of size and potential impact to the community, the economic vibrancy of downtown, and its far-reaching impact as this particular project. So I want you to know I support you in being as educated and knowledgeable about the project as you all want. So with that, I think we're good. I don't have any other points. Does anybody else have any business they want to chat about? Awesome. I know, Amanda, you unmuted yourself for a reason a few minutes ago, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
There you go.
Second.
Perfect. And we'll just take a vote around. Jim?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Meredith?
Aye.
Amanda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And Bruce Starters and I, and everybody, thank you so much for your time tonight. I hope you're all well and look forward to seeing you in December. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
You too.
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thank you.
Too. Bye
Thank
now.
you.
Thank you. Bye, team.